Hello again. Welcome, my people. Welcome to our second practical session in items using an accreditation instrument. I hope you had some enriching time during the first practical session. I'm sure you're going to equally enjoy practical session number 2. So are you kitted? Are you ready for the workshop? Are you ready with your safety goggles, with your hammer and the nail? Yes, in my case, I have my safety goggles here and I'm ready for the workshop. So let's go. Oh, yes, let's go. And we are in a workshop on assessing academic matters during site visits using life scenarios. This is part 2. In the other lesson, last lesson, we scored the following. We scored 7 items on the accreditation instrument. This is the accreditation instrument. So we did all of this. We checked this curriculum, relationship, innovation, coverage, and all that. This is what I checked. So talking about check, in the US spelling, American spelling, check, British. This is check. Talking about check. This man lost his checkbook and they made a report to the bank. And he had this conversation with the bank manager. Bank manager, but I warned you to be careful with your checkbook because anyone can forge your signature. You know what the man said? Oh, I'm not a fool. I'm not a fool. I've already signed all the checks. So they won't have space to forge my signature. In this lesson, we have not covered everything. We have left some blank. And the blank areas which we're going to cover, we're going to be scoring, evaluation of students' work, degree projects, and the rest that you can see on the screen. Now, on the matter of Cohen's kappa, one of, I think, the last exam, the last test, we had 0.45. And it was erroneously scored, not this one. So, but this is correct, moderate. We'd like to apologize to those who got the item right, because to err is human, to forgive divine. No one is perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. Anger will cause pain. Forgiveness will give peace. So let's have peace. Hey, let's have peace in the land. Now let's review the performance, our performance in practical number 1. When the academic board of the institute saw these results, we were quite excited. You can see 70, maximum score is 70. You can see all these people score 70, 65 out of 70. This is huge. This is impressive. So you can see 55. So this is quite good. Although some people scored 0. I'm scrolling quickly so I don't see their names. Let's dig deeper into this course. This is what we'll see at the back end where you are pouring your score. We at the other end will be seeing these ones. So you note that initially I had this without putting the scenarios one by one. So this was the confusion that we heard, that I had to change gear and ask the people who did before to please put in their score. So if you look at this, let's take scenario 1, this one. The maximum is 1 mark. It's interesting that some people put 2 marks here. Interesting. And some had it as 5 marks. Look and see, 5 out of 1. 5 marks out of 1. 2.5. So very interesting. We found it quite, not interesting. Amusing. But they did the best they can. I think they didn't watch the video. They just dived into this and we're putting all manner of marks. Yeah, let's quickly look at this. Score for relationship between BMAS and curriculum. So scenario 1. The maximum here, 4 marks. So we're able to see some people scoring 5, some scoring 6. Very interesting. Yeah, this is 5. This person just put 5. Just go. He or she just went on like that. Now this is 5 out of 4. So I don't want to waste time. What I'm saying is that most people got this right. Some who did not care about watching the video and learning the guide just got what they deserve. You can see this one is 2.5 for this, which is aberrant, completely aberrant. So we entreat them to please watch the videos next time and then be careful in how they score. because they are scattering our Cohen's Kappa. It will go to honor some people, two of them. I've called it Special Performance Award. Now, the award goes to Professor Biodun Saliu, NUC's Director of Academic Planning, and also Dr. Miriam Sali, NUC Director of Accreditation. They are participating. They've come down from their high horses to join us, lowly people, to participate in this. This is leadership by example. They have done very well in all the tests, all the scenarios, everything. They have been contributing so very well. So the thing is, some people have sent mails to us that other professors who are not in this are sneering at them. When it reach time now we they go first call, although I'm not participating in your training. Now we they go first call will be the leader for the thing. So, but you see, you have Professor Sali, you have Dr. Miriam Sali, all struggling here. And they have agreed, it has been agreed that, look, if you have not participated in this training, then you have some limited chance of being, so we have to reward those who are participating. So back to this, we are going to cover evaluation of students' work, degree projects, and the rest for this practical session. Let's begin with evaluation of students' work. Now, the instrument says evaluation plays an important role in teaching and learning process. To be consistent in the grading of students' work, the grading of continuous assessment, coursework, projects, exams, and all that should be used. Double marking is advantageous. You cannot understress this. Now, panel members should comment on the clarity and adequacy of marking schemes. Evaluation of students' work, marking schemes, and the standard of grading students' work. If necessary, make suggestions for improvement or in support of existing evaluation scheme. So let's look at the marking guide or scheme from NUC. Marking schemes exist, are well developed. So you can see the maximum score is 2. So exist will be 1. Exist are well developed, and the grading of projects, continuous assessment, coursework, and evaluation scripts is consistent. So we're looking at consistency, we're looking at the existence of the marking scheme. So 1 mark here, 1 mark there. But a program that you're going to evaluate may have like about minimum of 30 courses. Minimum of 30 courses from 100 level to the last, from 400 or 500. So you cannot, that's why I put this one. This is my annotation. For at least 90% of the courses in the program. In other words, one bad apple should not spoil the broth, should not spoil the ones in the basket. If you have 40 courses and only one you have some challenge with, my view, and that is consistent also, talking about consistency. Yeah, it's consistent with global best practices. So let's look at the first scenario submitted by Professor Nima Mohammed Jia, Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto. Is a great professor of pediatrics. Marking schemes exist. One is already in the bag and are well developed, at the grading of the projects, continuous assessment, coursework, and examination scripts was consistent. So consistency, existing, 2 marks. Good. Scenario 2 by Professor Taufik Uthman, Nile University of Nigeria. Marking schemes exist, so 1 mark there, but they are not well developed, as most of the questions set for the students were objective, multiple choice questions. So 1. The consistency is not mentioned. Let's get on to degree projects. Now, what does the instrument say? The ultimate test of quality of manpower, if you like, human resources. This word is getting dated, or if you like, out of date. Produced from a program is meeting the minimum level of competency expected for the students' level of training for their chosen professions through discipline. All degree programs must include adequate degree projects. Oh yes, very well said. The AUC marking guide reads, good quality, well supervised, innovative topics, and creative. Yeah, 2 marks. So we want to spread these 2 marks over supervised, innovative topics and all of that. So innovative and creative, but not well supervised. You can see this is for 1 mark. Supervision is for 1 mark. Not well supervised, lack creativity, and not innovative, 0. So you can see the scoring scheme. As I said, you have to pay particular attention to this role. This role is important if we have to have high level of inter-rater reliability. So innovative through creative topics is equal to 1, well supervised 1. So let's look at scenario number 1 provided by Professor Ali Shugaba, University of Jos. Students' projects were seen, okay, adequately done, and in fact, above contemporary projects I've seen of late, meaning that they are innovative. The topics are innovative because they have more than that. So if they have been adequately done, it means they're well supervised. So you got 1 mark for innovative creative topics, 1 mark for well supervised. 2 marks. Excuse me. We take Professor Additional Shudia, Federal University of Agriculture, Okebukola. The scenario he gave to us is most project titles were not modern, so not innovative. Don't lose marks there. Are not tailored towards solving current challenges. Supervision not thorough. So well supervised 0, creative innovative topic 0, overall 0. Let's get on now to practical work. Practical work. What do we have in the instrument? The panel should ascertain the quality and level of practical work conducted. Was the depth and scope of the curriculum covered? Were the practicals well done? Cite samples, design blog books, and all that. So you have to look at them, cite them with your eyes, shine your eyes on them, kuro eyes. Panel members are to comment if standard of practical work, so degree project is adequate for the skill level of the student, and when necessary to highlight deficiencies, and now they can be corrected. Panel members are to note that in a program where practical work is not done, this parameter will not count. That's obvious, and therefore 0 score. Marking guide of NUC reads: practicals conducted, good quality, depth, and scope covered, 5 marks. Oh, how do we now share the 5 marks among conducted, good quality, depth, and scope covered? You'll see in a minute, because these are the points that are scoring. Practicals conducted, good quality, but did not cover the curriculum, 3 marks. Practicals conducted, but not of good quality, 1. No practicals, 0. Of course, you can't build something out of on top of nothing. So the scoring: conducted, 2 marks, because you have to reward the fact that the practicals are conducted. 2 marks. The second layer of interest will be good quality. The other one is depth. You can see that's what the NUC marking guide has provided. The other one is coverage. So to earn these 5 marks, that's conducted 2 marks, of good quality 1, depth 1, coverage 1, totaling 5 marks. So that's it. Now, there's a note here that conducted scores 1 if depth and coverage is 0. In other words, look at this one. Practicals conducted, good quality, but did not cover the curriculum. So you then have to grade like this. If it's conducted, if it's of good quality, then conducted will score 2. But if it's conducted and if the depth and coverage are 0, then the conducted will be just 1 mark. All this big thing, well, big grammar. What does it translate to? It translates to this. Let's take scenario 1 by Professor Rafiu Adebayo, University of Ilorin. Because of the erroneous belief that programs in the humanities have no practical work, there was no evidence of this on ground in the department. Of course, conducted 0, and so everything is 0. Let's take scenario 2. The practical work is adequate for the skill level of the students. So we're talking about quality now, meaning that conducted can take 2 marks. Quality is weak. Oh no, he's not talking about quality here. He's talking about, in addition to the logbook, practical manual is produced for each of the courses. So he's talking about scope, depth and scope here. So depth and scope will be 1. Since that it is not 0, then conducted will be 2. That is what we mean. So thank you, Professor Chiro Usoro, University of Calabar, for giving us this scenario. And this will score 3. How will it score? Why should it score 3? It will score 3 because conducted is 2, quality is 0, but since depth and coverage are not 1, depth 1, coverage 1. So this conducted would be 2. Note this, conducted scores 1 if depth and coverage is 0, each of them 0. I think we should go on a short break. When we come from the short break, we'll continue with the rest of the standards. Welcome back from the short break. Yeah, why practical work is important. Before we went on break, we're looking at practical work. So these are graduates, BSc Economics, MBA, PhD, no practical work. But this other person, that's the fourth son of this man, who is, we have this language, Agberu, is tout. Okay, so the landlord said, oh, why can't you throw the fourth son out of your house? And the father of these 4 children, 3 with big degrees, said he's the only one earning money. The rest are unemployed. That's why practical work, entrepreneurship is important. Let's go on to students' course evaluation. What does this instrument say? Now, for an effective evaluation of the teaching learning process in the universities, it's necessary for the students to assess the relevance and adequacy of the courses to their chosen profession, the delivery of the content in terms of lecture and lecturers attending classes, tutorials, practicals, the adequacy, and all of this. The panel members should discuss with a sample of students in order to ascertain if, in the student's opinion and learning, the learning materials, delivery, and supporting facilities are of good quality. So how do you get the opinions? Questionnaires should also be administered. You interview them and then you administer questionnaires. So there must be evidence. So this student's course evaluation is evidence-based. So now, the NUC marking guide is this. If the students tell you that the course content is the maximum mark for this student's course evaluation is 2. So course content, learning materials, course delivery, physical facilities, how many? 4. So to divide 4 among 2 on 2, that would be 0.5. That's what I have here. Course content 0.5, learning materials 0.5, course delivery 0.5, physical facilities 0.5. We want all of those people who are scoring, who will give 5 marks out of 2 to please note how this item, this standard is scored. So if more than 70% of your students, the students you surveyed, judge each of these elements to be adequate, then you have to give the score 0.5 all the way through. But if between 50 and 69% are judged to be adequate, how will you be doing this calculation? That's the question I can see some of you asking me now. Are you going to be? Yeah, you can. I mean, if you took a sample of, say, 40 students, you can see how many of them, more than 70% of 40, okay, let's take 100 to make it easy. If you sample 100 students, I'm sure you cannot do that in the 1.5 or 2 days that you spend on accreditation. And 71% of them say, oh, well, this is good, it's adequate for all these elements, then that's when you can score 0.5. But if between 50 and 69% say they are adequate, they're less than 50%, less than half, say about 49 of the students they are not adequate. So let's look at the scenarios. This is provided for us by Professor Ephraim Okafor of Federal University of Technology, Owerri. The course content, the learning materials, lecture delivery, and physical facilities were fairly adequate. So actually in this range now, in this area. From the interaction with students from 200 to 500 levels, about 13 of them, they complained on poor practicals, laboratory exercises, and laboratory spaces. We suggest to the university management to improve on these and laboratory exercises. So what has happened here is that from this statement here, that all of these were judged to be fairly adequate. So you're going to get 0.5, that is half of half. This like that. So 0.5, 0.5, because we want to get 1. We want to get 1 from these 4. So it's actually 0.5, 0.25, excuse me. Times 4 will give us 2. So it will give us this one. So this is what we have here. I repeat, if most of them say it is adequate, so you give 0.5 each. But if About 50 to 69% of them say it's not so adequate. Then you half the marks. So it will be half of this, half of this, half of this, half of that. That's as simple as it. But if it's less than that, so this one is the easiest one to score, it will be 0. So this one is fairly adequate throughout, so it's here. So what 0.25, 0.25, 0.25, 0.25, that makes what is it? That makes 1. So that's it. The one from Professor Yito Shenge, University of Ibadan, that's the scenario he gave to us. The students interviewed indicated that the course content, learning materials, and other facilities were relatively adequate. Interesting. Me, I don't know how to do this one. Relatively adequate, we'll just give about here. There appears to be a disconnect between the students' oral responses and the responses in the questionnaire they completed. Of course, you expect them to make some polish their university by mouth, but when they write the thing, the questionnaire, especially if it's anonymous, then they will tell you there must be there's usually some disconnect. So for here, how do we score? The students' interview indicated that the course content, this and another, were relatively adequate. So we're going to take here, and the maximum you get from there is 1. So let's move on to evaluation of skills acquisition. This instrument is telling us that the importance of skills acquisition and the training of students cannot be overemphasized. Of course, we can underemphasize it. Panels are expected to test a sample of students on a number of tests to ascertain the level of skills acquired on different levels of the program. Panel members should test the appropriate skills acquired at each level. Oh, this is why it's important. I got a mail from one of our esteemed participants that, look, some time back, we had some person who is a professor of forestry asked to chair home economics because of man no man, I think. But this is Baba Rashid's tenure, Professor Abubakar Adamu Rashid, where Professor Biodun Saliu and Dr. Sali are in charge. They are not going to let that happen. It has to be round peg fitting to round hole, or square peg to square hole, whichever one you like. So how does somebody in forestry be testing this for a home economics person? Go work on a confusion with that. So back to this one. Marking scheme is students demonstrate very good level of hard and soft skills relevant to the program. 4. Students demonstrate good level. You can see this one. Very good, good, average, poor. That is the basis for the scoring. Very good. Don't worry. It's good, average, poor. Very good. That's a German. So this is the thing. We should have some fun. This is serious business, yes, but we must also have some fun. So scenario 1. A sample of students were drawn from first year to final year, and a range of questions were directed at them to test the depth of range of skills they have acquired in the course. The final year students who have gone on 1 semester long industrial attachment had a lot to say. I had some problem with this. So what did they have to say? This from Professor Henry Odeyinka of FML Awolowo University had a lot to say, as they have now been able to contextualize what they learned in class with real world experience. Well, I'm assuming now that they did well, that this is a very good range. So that's why I thought this should be 4. Had a lot to say, being contextualizing it in the real world experience. So that's a 4. That's a very good. The scenario 2 by Professor Alafara Abdullahi Baba, University of Ilorin. The students interviewed demonstrated good mastery. So this now falls here smugly. Subject matter of the program with high level of motivation. So this is a 3. We're getting there. Let's go on to external examiner system. The instrument is saying that the external examiner should be senior lecturer and above, and to evaluate or grade final year projects and thesis and all of that. And however, an external examiner should not be appointed for a period of more than 2 years, renewable for only for 1 year and no more. Panel members should comment on the quality of the external examiner's report vis-a-vis their general impressions of standard of work and instruction. In addition, an external examiner can only be engaged for maximum 2 years. There's some contradiction between this and this. Anyway, that's on the side. Let's look at the marking guide. External examiner's system exists. qualified assessors are engaged and the work is done, the work done is of good standard. 2. You can say maximum 2 marks. External examiner system exists, qualified assessors are engaged, but work is not of good standard. 1. External examiner system exists, but the quality of assessors engaged is poor, or external examiner system does not exist. 0. So very easy to apportion the marks. 2 marks. We are portioning it to external examiner system existing. The external examiners should be qualified. The work done is of good quality. For me, it's the quality that we should take 1 mark. Quality of what they have done. If it exists, 0.5, quality of the 0.5. So totally 2 marks. By the way, so long as we agree on the marking scheme, we'll be consistent. We'll be consistent, and our reliability, inter-rater reliability, will be good, will be high. So this particular rule, as I said in the practical lesson number 1, is the most important here in terms of scoring. So let's take scenario number 1 by Mrs. Uchenna Obidigbo, National Universities Commission. The panel observed that the external examiner does not critically assess the question papers, so the person don't feel here, as seen in the general block assessment of the question papers, meaning that the work done is not of good quality, but it exists. We are not told about whether the external examiner is qualified or not. That is why we cannot score this. You cannot assume what you don't know, but I've assumed for this one because saying that the panel members observe that the external examiner does not critically assess the question papers. So this one will take 0.5. We take the next person, Mr. Chianu Demodu of National Universities Commission. Please pardon me if I pronounce your last name wrongly. There was evidence for the appointment of an external examiner. External examiner exists. And the 2 students examined had excellent in their project for the record available to us. So good quality. So it's 1.5. We don't know about the quality of the external exam. Why this one is important is that as accreditors, you must follow all these things here. You must indicate the quality of the assessor or the external examiner must be provided in order to score very well. Let's take internal quality assurance system. And here, this man is saying, the importance of internal quality assurance cannot be overemphasized. This overemphasized too plenty, as this impacts on the quality of program. The panel members should ascertain if an internal quality assurance system exists and is functional, comprising a university-wide quality assurance directorate and appropriate structures at the faculty and departmental levels. Functionality should consist of minutes of meetings and decision-making documents. So AUC's marking guide is this. Internal quality assurance system for the department to exist and it's effective. 2. It exists, it's not effective. 1, it does not exist. 0. So the scoring scheme follows it exactly. When it exists, it's 1. If it's effective, it's 1 to score these 2 maximum. So let's look at the scenario provided by Dr. Umar Muhammad, Federal University of Kashere. Internal quality assurance system exists. There is a departmental quality assurance committee chaired by the HOD with 8 other members who are all PhD holders. Very good. So exists, don't chop one there. Chaired by another who are PhD with the exception of the secretary. The panel members were able to see 2 different minutes of meeting. So that's effective. 2 marks. Good. The last one here, scenario provided by Mrs. Dorothy Oboye of NUC. There was no internal quality assurance in place in the institution, as there were no office handling such. That's a clear 0. So that brings us to the end of practical number 2. So we have covered these grounds here. For the next practicals, we'll be covering staffing. I think we have done so well. We've taken all academic matters. Yes, end of workshop number 2. Let's remove my safety goggles. So I hope you had some enriching time. So until workshop number 3, it is bye-bye from me, Peter Okebukola.